The brain's amazingly pliable. Even when you're old like me, it's amazingly pliable. And what we found is if we stay healthy, physically healthy, then this physical thing here stays healthy too.
Neuroplasticity is really referring to the ability of our brain to keep growing and making neuronal connections, or for our brain cells to be able to talk to each other, and so that we can think and feel and do all the things that we want to do to the best of our ability. And so there are periods in our lives where our brain is highly neuroplastic, when we're growing, when we're kiddos, and we're learning a lot.
Even if a patient is an elderly patient in their 80s, we still know they have 700 neurons a day that are new and are capable of changing.
Think about grief. When we lose somebody and we're sad, we have to relearn how to live without them in our life, right? And our brain is trained, and it looks for them. You go into the living room to sit beside your spouse to watch, TV. They're not there, but your brain knows to look over at that chair where they often are, and you see it empty, and you're sad. So your brain has to relearn, and it's harder when you're older.
Over the course of the pandemic, and with all the things that we've dealt with lately, it's interesting to see the size of your amygdala can change. Your amygdala, we see research that your amygdala can grow when you've been exposed to prolonged stress. Actually, the way we store memories changes when we're under periods of prolonged stress. So we're more likely to remember negative events, which is fascinating because if you think about it, that makes sense. Our brain is protecting us. Remember all the bad things that happened and maybe they won't happen again. And so if we think about neuroplasticity as the ability for our brain to change and grow, create new connections, then the positive side of it is that we also can change and grow with intention.
Even if you have had some experiences in your past that have brought you hard times and discouragement, depression, or things like that, over time with training and mindfulness and behavioral cognitive therapies, a lot of those things can change. And then you can kind of reprogram your brain to work in a way that benefits you both physically and mentally.
So if we are exercising, sleeping, eating well, not drinking to excess, avoiding other toxins, then we're going to have a plastic brain well into our lives. We can recover from strokes. We can recover from brain trauma. And we can recover from depression and psychosis as well, because it actually is physical structures of the brain that heal and begin to function better. And so that whole area of neuroplasticity, this is an amazing organism, the brain.